to know?
I think it's important because if you don't know your culture, then you don't know yourself. And it brings out a unique thing about you, and it defines you individually who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, just as Naomi said, if you don't know your past, then what's the use of knowing your future at all? If you don't know where you came from, and if you don't know where you came from or where your ancestors came from, you won't know where you're going, basically. And that's what this school is teaching us. They're teaching us that to know your past, you have to know your past in order to get to your future.
Excellent, excellent.
Like like some people don't even know that African Americans mostly made everything that we have today.
Yes.
Like people don't know that. They think Europeans did it.
Yes.
Like and like for instance, they took over our land.
Yes. That speaks to an important point. What are some of the things that you think that you've learned here along those lines in terms of, in the cultural realm that like have really just fascinated you or just really, interested you or sparked some kind of change within you? What are some things that you've learned and like, you've just been like, wow, that's amazing. We did this. Are there any things that like have really just grabbed your attention in that way? Yeah, I can take y'all time.
We learn like in music, we learn about all different things, like, and we learn about like the black church and all that, and that like really fascinated me because I didn't know all that until I came here.
So what did you learn in particular? What about like music? What specifically did you learn?
We learn like the treble clefs, we learn the scales, bass, we learn all that.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I don't even recognize some of that stuff, so that's impressive. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, we also learned about like in our American literature history books, like how certain people, like the Europeans, like Columbus, really did not find America. He got lost and went the wrong way.
Yes.
He was going the wrong way, and when he got here, he claimed he thought it was India, but it wasn't. He was trying to go to India and went the wrong way. So when he got here, he tried to claim everything. But basically, we learned in Betty Shabazz just to be ourselves, that no matter what people say, we can always go out and we can always come back here and say, I'm from Betty Shabazz, I'm African, and I don't have a problem with it.
Word up, word up. Now, you talked about like the Columbus thing. You're in 8th grade, and you know this. Why do you think that things like this, the myths that Columbus did discover America, why do you think that these things are allowed to persist so long? Because if you ask like the average adult, in this country, they probably will say something different. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that other people aren't getting the same kind of education that you all are getting?
Because because schools will not allow their students to participate in the stuff that we do. What we learn, they cannot do because they might have different color principals. So their principal might not want them to learn that because she know the truth, but they might not.
Certainly.
Maybe it's because if the kids actually really knew what happened, they would probably try to stand up. They probably try to stand up and change things, and some people just don't want things changed, so they won't tell them, so they won't know. But when they sooner or later find out, it's going to be very shocking to them.
So what do you think? Like, how are you guys? You're, 12, 13 now? 14. Wow. My fault. So in a few years, y'all going to be out there in the real world. So how do you guys plan to, like, stand up and change things? Y'all have this information now, and it's one thing. It's beautiful to be able to have information. But contrary to what the American school system generally teaches us, it's almost useless to have the information if you don't begin to apply it. So how do you guys plan to apply some of the things that you've learned, and how do you plan to like stand up and try and change things?
Basically, I would try to change things by just giving back to the community and going to other schools and just letting them know that it's other alternatives to things, that you shouldn't just think you have two perspectives. You're supposed to, the perspective they give you, and you think, what would have happened if this particular thing didn't happen. Just let them know that there are other alternatives and you can think things over before you do it.
Like how I plan to do it, I plan to make my own community center.
Mm-hmm.
Like because my community don't have one.
What's your community?
I live on 79th.
Okay.
And they don't have one. So I'm gonna make sure every community have one.
Yes.
I would travel the world if I have to.
Yes. You just might.
I want to do it just as China said, like go to different schools, because in that case, kids have one perspective, seeing just like Columbus discovered America, and that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you have one perspective and you live in your life just knowing that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real good to understand another side of the story so you know everything what really happened, not just based on what somebody told you.
Right. Right.
What I plan to do is, when I go to the NBA, I'm going to give back money to the schools and build more parks. And so when it's wintertime, the children could just come in anytime and play ball instead of just checking in.
What?
And sometimes build more outside courts. And
So you want to give them some more recreational abilities, activities, make it where they don't have to get into some things that might be offered to them on the street, but be able to provide a safe haven, if you will.
Yeah.
We're gonna see about that NBA thing. It's only about 200 of those jobs, don't you?
and I'm going to get back to the schools without no court.
Now,
Inside of the school.
Now let's say, for example, in the far-fetched scenario, that the basketball thing don't work out. What's your backup plan?
I'm going to be a producer.
Okay, what kind of producer?
A movie.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll be looking forward to that one. So what do you think, man, in the next 10 years will be some of the biggest challenges you're going to face, the next 10, 15 years growing up? There's a lot of people investing in the system to try and see you fail.
Right.
So how, what do you see some of the biggest challenges manifesting before you?
Taxes. No.
Yes, most
But the
definitely.
government, basically, because it's going to get harder and harder. But
True.
we're just going to keep doing it. We ain't giving up.
These days.
Main challenges would be dealing with prejudice, racism, stereotypes that come with people's color, the way people look. There are a lot of isms like racism, sexism, and just how it affects all people who don't look pretty much white.
Right. And how do you think, what are some strategies that you're developing to kind of, try and deal with some of these challenges?
Unity pretty much how you look at it. Unity, we all come from the same place. We're all pretty much the same, and skin color doesn't really matter.
Word up.
Some of the challenges might be, I'll say, the government kind of sets us back some, from doing what we want to do, because we're people of color. So, I'm going to try to deal with it, do positive stuff, but, we just need to stand up. It's opportunities out there for us, so we just need to take them and grab them. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
People right now they like to sell drugs and all prostitution and all that. So that will probably be in our way of trying to reach our goal.
Okay.
Some things that might get in your way, peer pressure and racism is still going on, even though we don't think it. People still have problems. Yeah, those might be some of the problems, but how you can overcome that is just stay away from it and keep your mind on your goal. If you don't take your mind off your goal, you'll be successful.
It'd be drugs and women. Because when you get all the money, the women going to try to be all on you.
Yes, definitely have to be, concerned about those things. Or women, if you get successful, worry about, some of these, potential knucklehead men that might come out the woodworks.
Yeah, also, like China said, racism and also rejection, because it's a lot of people going to think that, since you African American or any race, they going to think, we don't want you. But don't feel just because you got rejected that one time, then that's over. Just continue to do what you want to do.
Good advice. Good advice.
Like you said, rejection. If they reject you, you got